What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the June 10th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Yes, that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and especially YouTube. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So, this episode of SmackDown, Roman Reigns wasn't there, but there was a big main event. Overall, this show was pretty fun. It wasn't the what some may deem as predictable and same matches all the time. Like, this was actually, for me, this was a pretty fun episode of SmackDown. They weren't trying to do too much, and it was just, they kept it simple. And I think what I liked about this this show, was most of the matches had stakes, and it just made sense, and they just got to the point. Most wrestling shows, depending, no matter what company it is, when they have stakes and they just get to the point, makes it a pretty enjoyable wrestling experience. When they have, when some wrestling shows, if most wrestling shows, if they do have like stakes, but then they have all this other stuff along with the stakes, that they go into this story and that story, and it takes away from the stakes. But this episode of SmackDown was pretty decent, pretty fun. Very little that I saw that was just like, but I'll get into my favorite match, which was I really enjoyed it. But man, the opening match was Drew McIntyre, Sheamus. Honestly, if you haven't seen this match, or you're like, no, this match was really good. The only thing, the DQ finish at the end, because they wound up getting counted out. Actually, no, it was a chair shot, and they were just trying to break them up and everything. That was the whole thing, like the whole ending. The ref calls for the bell, and they're fighting, and then they just cut to commercial. So it was just like, if you weren't paying attention, you were just like, It's like, what the hell just happened? But yeah, it was a double DQ. This whole match, I mean, it was a lot of brawling, a lot of power moves. It was very physical. Some heavy clotheslines. A nice running knee by Sheamus, and the power bomb and the jackknife that Drew McIntyre did was pretty insane. There was a spot when the match started that Sheamus did his white noise move on McIntyre on the apron, and that was a crazy spot, because there was no tape. Like, usually when you see Sheamus do the white noise or anything, usually it's like a table or something. There's something that he's going to perform that move on, and you're watching, you're just like, hey, there's nothing but like the apron and like the floor. It's like, is he gonna do this on the floor? Like, that's insane. And there's very little room on the apron, and he did it, and man, that was crazy. But this was a pretty fun way to start off SmackDown, because they started fighting in the crowd. The officials got involved. Sheamus went through the crowd. McIntyre, he was held back and everything. It was a pretty fun way to start the show, and I enjoyed it. The DQ, I wish there was a winner somewhat, but man, just seeing these two guys go at it in the way they did was pretty fun. Pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good one. So you had that. Then they did a recap video of Seth and Cody on Monday, and then they announced that Cody Rhodes is going, or Michael Cole announced that Cody Rhodes is going to miss up to 9 months rehabbing. So that sucks. Some people were saying that it was going to be probably 5-6 months, but 9 months, man, that's going to suck. It sucks, and I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, if he would have stayed in AEW, that wouldn't have happened. Look, man, injuries are going to happen, especially when you're dealing in a field that your body is the instrument that you're using to make money and tell stories and stuff like that. So it's gonna happen. But man, I just hope for a speedy recovery and that, and any move in the upper body, it could be small, minor, what have you. You just don't know a person's health and how it's gonna react, and oh, it's minor, oh, it's made. People are going back and forth, but you just don't know a person's health, and he just had a daughter, and you just don't want someone, no matter what, you just don't want someone to go through something worse than what they're already experiencing, especially with an injury. So, speedy recovery, Cody. Then we get a backstage segment with Lacey Evans, the newly revamped Lacey Evans. She's talking about hyping up her match with Xia Li, which is going to follow this. This match was borderline a squash match. It was it came across like the WWE typical American hero and villainous foreigner stories that they usually tell. Because Xia Li, like when she came out, like when she first came from NXT, she came with a lot of cheers, and she just had the same gimmicks. Like, oh man, she's dope, she's cool, this is this, and then they had her like some type of superpowers and electricity and stuff like that, and they took her off and they brought her back, and now like she comes out and there's like boos. I'm like, what? Like, huh? Like, really? And I thought that was really weird. But man, I mean, it wasn't a back and forth match. I mean, it was mostly Lacey Evans reversing a lot of Xia Li's moves, and then she wound up hitting her finishing move, the straight. Was it a straight right hand, and pinned her 1, 2, 3, and that was the match. So Lacey Evans, she qualifies for the women's Money in the Bank, and honestly, I think they're gonna have Lacey Evans win the women's Money in the Bank. As much as they're pushing Lacey Evans, I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I know maybe we might get a returning Bayley soon. That's if. But for the most part, I do think Lacey Evans is more than likely winning this Money in the Bank. I don't see. I mean, you could make an argument for Liv Morgan, but I really don't see any other woman taking that and having that type of, if you could say, momentum, or just that, where you could say momentum, just that whole vibe that, okay, this person has the Money in the Bank, man, this is going to be interesting. What are they going to do? Because if you put it on someone that's been there for a while and just, they've had championship matches and so forth, like, it kind of doesn't have the same vibe as someone like, okay, they've been off TV for a while, they have this new gimmick, they're getting a response with their vignettes and their promos, good or bad. So it's just like, okay, you have all this, let's put it to them. So I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Lacey Evans will be the women's Money in the Bank winner. Then we get a backstage segment with McIntyre and Adam Pearce. And McIntyre is basically telling them, like, hey, no matter what happened there, put me in the match. He's adamant that Adam Pearce puts him in the Money in the Bank match, which you kind of saw this coming after what happened in the beginning match with McIntyre and Sheamus. So it's just like, all right, yeah, he wants to be back in the match, or whatever. Then we get Ronda Rousey, which the way they execute, like, it was weird because she came out with the belt, she came out with makeup on, and for me, the way I took it, I don't know, I can't remember if they announced the week before or what have you, but she came out like she was gonna fight, and then she starts a promo, then she's interrupted by Shotzi, and then they cut to commercial, and then they come back, and then they make an impromptu match. So it's Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey, which I was like, all right, if you're a fan of WWE or a wrestling fan in general, you just watch WWE, and you're like, why do they do this? Why? Like, I've grown accustomed to for them starting the program or having someone do an entrance and cut to commercial, come back, give 2 promos, and there's vignettes, and then they come back. And that's actually what happened. Ronda Rousey got interrupted by Shotzi. They cut to commercial, they come back, they show a video package of the Viking Raiders, which was like their return, like just weird. Like they've been there for a while. Like what is this video? It's like a return video or like, huh? It is what it is. It's WWE. They're gonna do what they want to do. Then there was a the Sheamus Butch thing with Adam Pearce, and that just like whatever, man. But no, this Shotzi Ronda Rousey match, I gotta say, man, Ronda Rousey has had some pretty decent matches with Raquel Gonzalez, Shotzi Blackheart. Trying to think of the other match that she had before this that was pretty decent. Man, who did she fight? But she's had some pretty good TV matches. I will give her credit for that. Solid. Me personally, I enjoyed the match that she had with Raquel Gonzalez. But man, this match with Shotzi, I really liked it. There was some cool stuff that she did in this match. The batons, the baton slam, the way she did the Piper's Pit move, like that was crazy. The armbar that she performed on Shotzi, that was crazy, which led to the victory and everything like that. Like there was a lot of stuff that she did that I really enjoyed. The sequence, the movement, the counter, the reversal. For me, especially now in today's wrestling, like the smoothness that you go about as far as countering a move, and then the smoothness in the transition to another move, like that's what I look for. And this was pretty cool, man. I really like this. Then of course she's attacked by Natalya. Then Natalya put Ronda Rousey in the sharpshooter, which was like, oh, okay. And this feud's gonna be interesting because like the way Ronda Rousey started her promo, which led to the Shotzi match, which led, which she won and then led to Natalya coming back. Like she dissed Natalya and Bret Hart as far as the sharpshooter. It was like, WWE, what are you gonna do? Then we get a backstage segment with Riddle. He's hyping up his match tonight with Sami Zayn, which was a really good match. Then we get Gunther. Yes, Gunther. This was the match for me. You get Gunther, and then again, this is the second time tonight this happened. You get a backstage segment with Ronda Rousey. She's in the trainer's room, and Kayla Braxton's reporting like, they're gonna check her out and see if she can compete at Money in the Bank. And you see her refusing the ice and everything. So we come back, get Ricochet. So yeah, Gunther and Ricochet were wrestling over the Intercontinental title because Ricochet, of course, is the Intercontinental Champion. And when this match happened and, it popped up the graphic like, oh, Gunther's fighting for the Intercontinental title, I'm like, please put the title on Gunther. Yes, put the title on him. This was a decent match. Not in the bad, like, this was pretty good. For me, this was the match of the night because the way Ricochet was giving Gunther like offense, like he was drop kicking, he was countering kick. I mean, he was using a lot of his arsenal. But Gunther, man, there was a point like right in the match, man, like right when it started. Fuck, man, Gunther slapped Ricochet's soul out of his body. Like, oh my goodness, that chop was, whoo, boy, that you just, I was like, as soon as that happened, you're like, there's no way Ricochet should win this match because that shot right away, you just like, there's no way this guy should win this match. Like, Ricochet should not win this match. Gunther should win this. Man, there was a nice sleeper hold that Gunther did. There was a power clothesline that Gunther did on Ricochet. There was a spot where Gunther was in one turnbuckle and Ricochet was running, and Gunther ran at him and drop kicked him into the turnbuckle. And of course, Gunther did the power bomb. 1, 2, 3. Gunther is the new Intercontinental Champion. I like this because you could say they kind of been protecting Gunther. They've been pushing him. Of course, when he was Walter in NXT and NXT UK, people loved him. They loved his work. I like this because now, out of all the titles, excluding the world title, out of all the titles, you actually have a champion that like can elevate the belt, which is rare to talk about in WWE. Like, Gunther being the Intercontinental Champion, he should have that title for at least a year before you find someone to defeat him. And honestly, I think if you're gonna go that route, I think the guy that should beat him should be Braun Breaker whenever you decide to bring him up, because that's a really good feud whenever that happens. But Gunther having the Intercontinental title, like, he is going to elevate that title. You can have a lot of cool matches with this, and you could tell a lot of cool stories with Gunther as the Intercontinental Champion. I look forward to seeing what they do with him and how they use him, in spite of the whole name thing, whatever. It is what it is. But man, I'm really interested to see how they're going to use him and what matches and feuds he's going to be in, because that guy can wrestle. And like I said, he should have that belt for a year. Yes, Gunther should have the Intercontinental title for a year. Don't hot potato, no. Give that man a title for a year, and then by then you can elevate him to the world title picture scene. But no, at least a year. If it's short, let's say 9 months. It's 9 months. But he should have that. Like, he is going to raise the prestige of the Intercontinental title, because let's face it, the Intercontinental title has not been the Intercontinental title, hell, since Cody brought back the old title and slightly elevated, and then Miz went on that run with the Intercontinental title. Then after that, and before that, it was so I mean, this is really good. Like, this title change in WWE, I like it, and this is some good stuff. Then we get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn with Paul Heyman. Heyman's like, hey, if I put you in if you beat Riddle, I'll put in a good word for you, and you belong in the bloodline. If you lose, and Heyman gives him this stern look, and Sami just walks out and everything. This was a pretty cool match. This is for the third time. I repeat, this is the third time that someone either came out and they went to commercial, came back, played a couple videos, then had the entrance and went to the match. During this, you had a John Cena video. I really enjoyed that video. I really liked it because of what John Cena did. Kudos to John Cena. That was really cool to do that for the family that they were from the Ukraine, and they relocated, and the son had Down syndrome, and just seeing John Cena interact with the family and the kid and everything, man, that was really cool. And stuff like that is really cool to see, especially with everything that's going on in the world. That was really cool. Really cool. I look forward to seeing John Cena return. Was it June 27th? Yeah, I think it's June 27th or something that he's supposed to come back. Yeah, I think that's the it's the Raw after Forbidden Door. So yeah, June 27th. But man, Sami Zayn, Riddle, really good match. Sami Zayn, man, that guy is an MVP in WWE. This guy has had solid matches. He has had a very entertaining and funny character since they left the Thunderdome. Another solid match by him, man. Um, Paul Heyman was at ringside on commentary. There was a spot, man, where Sami Zayn. So Riddle's on the top turnbuckle and he's about to perform a move, and Sami Zayn pushes him so hard and far that he hits the barricade and then fall. Like, that was crazy. Then there was, of course, a great power, like a running power slam by Matt Riddle. He got the upper hand in the match, and by this time, uh, he did the Randy Orton draping DDT on the second rope. Then Sami Zayn kicked out of that. Riddle tried running at him, and then Sami Zayn performed the reverse Blue Thunder, which Riddle kicked out. Then, literally out of nowhere, Matt Riddle did a running RKO. 1, 2, 3. He wins. He's celebrating. Usos come out. They beat him up, and they're celebrating. And then out of somewhere, Riddle grabs the kendo stick. He starts whipping them out. He starts whipping both Usos, and of course they're hyping up next week. Matt Riddle will face Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Championships, whatever they're calling it right now. So next week will be Matt Riddle versus Roman Reigns. That should be fun. But man, this whole episode of SmackDown was, like I said, it was pretty fun. Of course, the whole person comes out, they cut to commercial, come back, start a match, that whole thing. I don't know why they do that, what inspired them to do that. They should not do that because it doesn't make sense, because you have one wrestler in there for a long time and you have another wrestler that could be hyped up, and it's just weird. But no, this was a really this was a fun SmackDown, man. There was a lot of stakes. The Riddle Sami Zayn match had stakes. The Gunther Ricochet match had stakes. The Shotzi Ronda Rousey match had some stakes whatsoever. Of course, the Xia Li and Lacey Evans match had stakes. McIntyre versus Sheamus had stakes. But man, this was a fun SmackDown, man. It wasn't like, oh my god, it was so terrible. It's down. It's this. It's that. Look, you don't have Roman Reigns. You don't have some of the major stars that are accustomed to being on SmackDown. But for what they had and for what they did and who they put out there, this was a decent SmackDown, man. This is one SmackDown, man. If let's say you couldn't watch it tonight, Friday night, and let's say it's Saturday morning, you're like, man, let me catch up on SmackDown. Like, this is a really good SmackDown to watch. If you missed it on like a Saturday morning where you're just eating breakfast, just chill. You're like, all right, I got this event later on, but man, let me just chill and watch it. This is the perfect SmackDown, man. This is a really fun SmackDown. But like I said, my match of the night of this show was Gunther Ricochet. This was a really dope match. I like Gunther having the Intercontinental title. I am really interested to see what they do with that title. Honestly, I wish he was on Raw, because just having him on Raw with this present, like, man, that'd be so good on Mondays, man. Like, to start the week off watching Raw with him, along with the other, like, oh man, this would be so good. But I wish they didn't have both titles on Roman Reigns, because then you could have one champ. Like, it's WWE. It is what it is. But man, Gunther being Intercontinental Champion is the highlight of this show. That's going to be interesting. I know there's comparisons to Andre the Giant and other big guys, but man, he's different. He's unique. I don't know what else to say, man. This is gonna be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I guarantee you that Intercontinental title, now that he's champion, is going to be defended quite a bit now, and it's going to have some. It's going to have some spotlight on it. It's going to be seen more now that they have him on there, because he is an attraction. We know that from his work in NXT and NXT UK. So the guy's an attraction. So this is going to be interesting. Hopefully they do this right. Hopefully they do this right and execute this right, and just give him quality opponents, quality matches, and just keep it simple, man. Just let him be Walter, even though his name is Gunther, but let him be Walter as we know him, and he'll be good. But this is my review for the June 10th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, stop fighting over wrestling, man. There's so much stuff going on in the world, and there's so many wrestling promotions that are, giving us entertainment that we can escape into for, a few hours here and there, and just enjoy it, man, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. Let's just enjoy this and just try to be good to everybody, man. All right. With that, I'm out.